And with that, I'm gonna turn it over to our Q&A moderator. We'll open it up to the audience for questions and discussion with our panelists. So please feel free to let yourself be known if you got any questions or want to share any comments from our audience as well.
I guess mainly so it gets into the recording, but folks are seeing it in the chat. There's a Hawaii Youth Food Council, and that's also a part of the Hawaii Public Health Institute and Hawaii Farm to School Hui. But it's a small group of students. They were able to host a larger gathering called the We Grow Hawaii Youth Food Summit, and they actually spent a day at the Capitol with a number of high school students getting to experience just being there, talking to legislators and office staff. So the website's in the chat for Hawaii Youth Food Council, and love to see that effort grow as well. It's been a great partnership, I think, with Food Plus policy, kind of the high school level, leading into the college level youth advocacy.
Yeah, can I say something?
Please.
Yeah, this is Bobby Paya. I'm a kalo farmer on Maui. I recently began engaging, thanks to Ann Fredericks and the staff at HAPA. But what I'm seeing is that um, I don't see many of the farmers getting out there and testifying. So I just would like to encourage all you guys, all you organizers out there, because it's great, man. I applaud you all because that's what's needed. If somehow we can actually reach the guys that are doing the work, and boots on the ground farming kind, if we can somehow get them engaged more, and get them to come out and testify at at the ledge and stuff, because I feel that our lawmakers, they really need to hear from the guys doing the work, the guys who are really farming. So I just wanted to throw that out there because I'm excited. I started creating my own little hui of getting people engaged, and I using I get 3 guys and, my 3 core guys, and, I ask them to go get 3 guys and, so forth and so on. But I just wanted to throw that out there because from my experience, my little experience I had going out there and testifying at the ledge on some bills, I really feel, and this is my personal opinion, that they really give an ear to the farmers, and it's repetition, right? It's getting more of us out there and standing up for agriculture, because that's our livelihood, and that's the future for Hawaii. So I just wanted to applaud all you guys out there, man, for the work you guys doing. That's awesome because we need it. Our as we all know right here, in my opinion, the only power we have is in our collective voices. So you guys are doing that, and I just wanted to thank you. Yeah, mahalo.
Thanks for sharing. Yeah, I think
Can I
that's
have this is
go ahead.
Sam. Hi, this is Sam. I'm with the Hawaii Farm to School Hui. I have a question for Bobby. When I used to live in a Big Island, there was a governor's liaison, and I asked this question at a Zoom once. dilemma, I think. This is in the 80s, 90s. So either do you know, to your knowledge, if there's a liaison on Maui to the governor's office, or is it Arce, Kali Arce with the county? You feeling their presence there to hear your voices on that side?
You know, that's interesting because the Maui Department of Agriculture just they kind of got on their feet. They just went for their request for budget at the county council, where I testified on their behalf. Because I know there was a lot of language going around that what we're getting questions about, why are we duplicating what the Department of Agriculture is doing. But as far as I know, we do now have an advocate position, and we have a great guy that's there. So as far as being the liaison, I would pinpoint him. His name is Kaya Madaris, and they're doing great work.
Yes, so the role of agricultural liaisons has kind of shifted for some counties. So for those not familiar, this is a county-focused position that was often housed in an Office of Economic Development that worked on agriculture and agricultural issues. For Honolulu County, the position is no longer filled, but is kind of morphed into different roles in our Office of Climate Change, Sustainability, and Resilience, as well as our Office of Economic Revitalization. In Hawaii County, it's housed within the Office of R&D, which is Research and Development. And then Maui County has now the Department of Agriculture. So yeah, I've worked with Kaya on that. Fortunately, I think something that's emerged in the past few years is that these roles are taking more of an advocacy perspective, whereas previously they may have been county ag interests may have loosely engaged through the Hawaii State Association of Counties, HSAC, and their package, which is largely hasn't had the clout of the legislature that the counties may have wished. But fortunately, we now have these county roles who are advocating directly on behalf of these food and agricultural interests, which is a great boon. And at least based off of the conversation with one of them today, one of them yesterday, and another one last week, I think there's a growing opportunity to kind of bring these different county groups together, or county positions together, to try and get a cohesive platform that they could then advocate for, whether it's through HSAC or maybe even directly through to the governor's office.
Yeah, I'm really excited about our guy over here on Maui, because this guy is just more than agriculture. It's about establishing principles that were used in the past. Just segueing into like the ahupua'a system and the principles that they practice. So it's a new song, definitely being sung, and we need to have people like Kaya and those that are similar, sing in concert at the ledge.
I just want to agree with Uncle Uncle Bobby saying we don't definitely have the people in the building yet to the critical mass that's needed to move the needle on some of these issues. And Farm to School Hui is doing awesome work. The work that Leidy mentioned and Liv, that's amazing. But I think across the food system, it's really needed. And I know like Hunter, myself, Kelsey, we're all really passionate about helping people navigate the process. So please, I don't want to volunteer you guys, but I know you care about this as well. And happy to be a resource. I'll put my email in the chat too, and our website, so you can sign up for alerts if you want. But just reach out. We're super happy to plug people in if you're interested in going over. And it can seem sort of, if you haven't engaged in that arena, it can seem a little daunting and intimidating, but we try to make it easy for folks to plug in. So yeah. I was just gonna add, as I listened to y'all share, it's it's sort of outrageous that they try to make any sort of decisions within such a short time frame on so many bills, right? So I don't know, having a year-long legislative session would be one thing, but on the other hand, like engaging legislators outside of the session, of course, is also something that can be done, to Bobby's point, right? Having them visit farms, meet farmers, and those stories that they can bring with them into the session are really important too.
Yeah, it's certainly something that we had pursued for some of our talk story sessions with our chapters and membership, was to invite regional legislators to come participate, and in some cases we were even successful.
Another breakthrough that happened a few weeks ago is we have a parent that went to Gina Mangieri on KHO, and she started a Facebook account, and she's starting to get momentum that way. Now, part of me says a retired DOE, that could work either way sometimes, but at any rate, that particular parent is participating in the legislative process. So the thing is, this is something that we can monitor as best possible. I didn't friend that particular, her. But anyway, that's a group. I'm a retired DOE. See, so hearing the parents' voice and their support is just a tip of the iceberg right now. So if we can direct them your way, we can. Because being a DOE type, so to speak, I always felt that if I was to engage them in something like farm to school, I would be doing it rogue. So I was kind of waiting for a parent to do this, and so now it's happened. The precedent has been set. So if somehow statewide we can start to get the parents, advocating for nutritious meals and snacks in the schools, this is the tip of the iceberg, like I said. We just have to channel them towards, your organizations or the process, yeah.
Maybe since so many of our farmers are getting older and retiring, we should be tapping into that network as well.
Does anyone have any other comments or questions?
Last one. New UH president, because we are talking about CTAHR here. So I always tell people CTAHR is kind of taken for granted. Many of us in the back doors are really hoping that the next president of the UH system has CTAHR as a priority, because that person coming in, their priorities could be a number of different things. AI, could be athletics, could be whatever. So the hope, once the Board of Regents get their act together, if we can somehow bring in a president who advocates for CTAHR and ag statewide. Yeah, that's something that's back there and at the Capitol as well, that we gotta really monitor that process. Oh, thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Sam. Thank you. Any other question from the audience or comment? So if not, I have this question for you, for the panelists. It looks like many bills, have not been scheduled for hearing. Can you share your experience, like what factors influence the prioritizations of bills for hearings in the process?
Chair discretion, unseen ties and interests, and often there can be sort of an overarching focus for a given session. Unsurprisingly, this year it was an emphasis on Maui restoration, redevelopment, etc. And so sort of the whispers and the the streets before the session was, if for any of your writing your bill preambles, to make sure that it tethers in some way into Maui recovery. So that's sort of a primary filter. Yeah, I think barring further cynical comments, I'll let the others weigh in.
Yeah, I can speak to this because, our pesticide bills in particular, it's like always a struggle to get them just scheduled at all. So I think, Hunter's correct that it depends, like there's, like this year we're hearing budget constraints that all the agency budgets are going to get cut. So things with appropriations, aren't going to get scheduled for their hearings in the final money committee. But yeah, I can speak to the, pesticide regulation is not popular in the legislature, even with like good data and common sense. Like these aren't radical requests. But we have a powerful there's a powerful lobby in industry that can make campaign contributions, so there is, not to be too cynical, but sometimes when there's controversial issues there that can come into play, the role of a particular industry, and maybe an outsized influence. Although I do think, and then there's just a lot of like political maneuvering in the building. Honestly, there is, the sausage making when you see it on the inside can be a little disheartening at times, but to me, that's why we need, to Uncle Bobby's point, we need to build collective power in those spaces and get the numbers in the building and especially key constituents from key districts. So yeah, it can be a little frustrating.
Just echo all of that. I will add, something I've been surprised by to learn and experience over the last 4 years is that the number of companions and sort of duplicative bills that do get introduced at the beginning of session. So some of the ones that aren't scheduled or that die are sort of necessary, right? There's just too many variations, and the one that's gonna be the champion emerges and moves forward. So some of it is not bad, but yeah, all those other factors are kind of true. There's a lot that, another thing to think about, I guess, is the types of referrals also. So the leadership of the House and Senate gets to decide what committees they're referred to. And I noticed the ones that are referred to sort of joint committee hearings where it has to be maybe the AEN and the water, or there's two different committees that have to schedule to get together at the same time and consider one bill or something. It's a lot less likely that that's going to actually happen if there's more people that have to get involved. So there's good and bad referrals that you can have too. That's been another learning to share with the interns and everything. But yeah, it's tough out there. And somebody mentioned earlier, I think it was Leidy, a year-long session. I don't know how these legislators process so much information and attend so many hearings in such a short amount of time and make important decisions. So definitely having a longer period, I think would be a lot more reasonable.
I would add, in terms of the like keeping your head up, that in analyzing the data from 2010 through 2023, that there's about a 10% pass rate in any given year. And that changes if it's the first or second year of the biennium, because there will be a number of carryover bills. So a number of bills from the past session carried over to this session, never to get picked up.
We did have a question in the chat from Leidy about whether testifying by Zoom is as effective as being there in person, especially for those of us who are on neighbor islands, and we're talking about farmers and folks who don't have a lot of time to travel. And Annie, did you want to respond to that a little bit?
Yeah, I think it's great. If you can testify over Zoom, it's a huge improvement. You know, folks have been advocating for remote testimony for years, and it took a pandemic for it to happen finally. But so I think if that's like what you can do, that's great. And super important. But I think also having a presence in the building, if you're able to come over, like as part of a hui, you know, like for a lobby day or something like that, can just shows numbers also. And I think going door to door to lawmakers' offices, you know, just meeting with lawmakers before it gets totally crazy. I think that presence does really, really help as well. I think it's kind of essential actually to get something through, you know, as Hunter mentioned, kind of like it can be a multi-year effort. So I think you can right size it for people's availability and like I would love to see a food systems lobby day where we have folks from across the food systems all come over for a day. Like there's you know, like I think what the farm to school folks did this year is super awesome. And like why not just because these things are all connected, right? All these different facets of our food system are interconnected. So I think that could be really powerful as well. And I think often it's like in that building, it's squeaky wheel kind of does sometimes get the grease. So I think having a presence can be really helpful, especially like sometimes it's just like running into a lawmaker in the hallway and just being like, hey, can I catch a minute, you know, or, you know, just sometimes you have those interactions that you can only have in the building. But I think absolutely, if all you can do is if you can submit testimony and give oral testimony, that's great too. So I don't want to discourage that.
Thanks.
believe
Yeah, sounds like food systems lobby days. Sounds like a great idea.
Well, and it's a challenge to the group. I believe the Cattlemen's Council and Rangeland Stewardship Foundation today are having their kind of focused lobby day and had brought or the plan as I had heard it is that there was going to be a baby steer in presence at the rotunda. And so if you can come up with a cuter strategy for the food system advocacy world, please let us know.
Little kids.
Any other question? I think we have only 2 minutes left. If not, I would like to thank our speaker today for sharing their efforts. Looks like a lot of effort has been put into all of these bills and advocating for it. So I wish you all the best in getting successful for these bills. And for the audience, if you don't mind filling out our feedback survey here, I paste it on the chats. Would greatly appreciate it. Any topic you would like to see in the next forums, we'll take a look into them and our planning team will work on them. So thank you so much. Have a great weekend ahead. Bye-bye.